and also industry-specific special interest group like health, e-government, and identity theft prevention or something like that, and organizing conformance testing. Actually, this Liberty Alliance conformance test is required by GSA for procurement. So if you'd like to, sell products to GSA, you have to, pass the test. And here is Liberty technology architecture. Liberty is developed IDFF, and eventually it evolved into SAML 2.0. That is basically for single sign-on here. And also some web services framework. This is for instance, mashing up web services. And when mashing up web services, you need some authorization mechanism so that one service can access to another service for personal data. In that case, you need some authorization mechanism. So IDWF provides such authorization mechanism as well as discovery services for web services. And here is in digital identity management, lifecycle management is very important, from starting from the birth to the death of identity. Actually, in the market, provisioning accounts for right now half of the market, but will account for 2/3 by 2014. So when people talk about identity management, they are mainly focused on single sign-on or authentication. But managing identity lifecycle, especially provisioning and change control, those kind of things are very important in market perspectives. And Liberty provides many different kinds of specification to support all phases of identity lifecycle. Oh, by the way, if you have any question, please ask anytime. So here is SAML assertion markup, security assertion markup language. We call it SAML. So it's a XML-based framework for expressing assertion claims about identity of user, and also it also comes with protocols for moving those assertions around, and maintained by OAuth, originally developed by Liberty. And when assertion and protocols are used together, most notable application is for single sign-on, but you can use SAML for instance, authorization or attribute exchange. And assertion are used as a security token or identity token format in information card. And SAML is successful especially in enterprise, financial, e-government, and higher education. CERIAS 2.0 is right now that's exactly the same as SAML 2.0. Maybe I'm gonna skip this. Yeah. And here is identity federation process. So to use a federated like single sign-on, you have to go through this process. First, this is a user-centric process. So users can themselves federate two different accounts, and then you use that federated account. You can do a single sign-on, and then use access and use services, and then close single sign-on session. This is also important, and Liberty protocols or SAML protocol provides a single logout. So just single sign-on is a little bit dangerous because you sign-ons. I mean, many services, and I mean, if you don't sign out, it's a very, I mean, it causes a very serious security problem. So to avoid that problem, SAML provides a single logout function too. And eventually, also at the user's choice, users can defederate accounts if you'd like to. If you don't need the single sign-on anymore for the specific service. And here is overview of, again, I mean, you need users first have to federate identity and then use a single sign-on. Here is privacy identity federation from the view of privacy protection. So in SAML, SAML, IDP and SP accounts of users by pseudonym, as I explained before. So this eliminates need for global ID and mitigate risk of unintended disclosure of real account names, and also ensure unlinkability of SP accounts. So that in that way, I mean, user can, I mean, control unlinkability, and therefore you can protect privacy, or you can control privacy. And here is a single sign-on procedure. This is important. So let me go through details of this process. So first, user request for the service at the service providers, and then service providers need to authenticate the user. Then goes to IDP via, I mean, HTTP redirect, browser redirect. So that, I mean, through this via user, I mean, SP service providers goes to IDP to request assertion for authentication, basically, and then between user and identity provider, authentication should be executed. And then, I mean, for the authenticate, you can use any authentication method. I mean, SAML is agnostic to authentication method, so you can use password, or you can use PKI or biometric, and so on. But important point here is that so that authentication context should be conveyed to service provider, because, I mean, service provider depend on authentication to IDP, so they like to know how users are authenticated. Maybe if user just authenticated by user and password, they don't wanna provide serious, or, I mean, high cost services. And in that case, they, I mean, request stronger authentication in this, I mean, procedures. And then after authentication has been done, goes to step 4. IDP sends assertion with authentication context, which represents how users are authenticated, and then service provider verify assertion, and then user can access to service and use the services. And also for the second service, so user don't have to do authentication. I mean, you can users can skip step 3, so that they don't have to authenticate again, and then use services without login procedure. This is a single sign-on mechanism. So user